When was the last time you opened your banking app on your phone without any feeling of stress? Because most girls don't. There's a microsecond when you feel like your heart's about to stop beating, your body tightens just before your brain can even read your bank balance. And that reaction, that is exactly what we're talking about today. I've worked in finance and financial planning over the past 14 years in both the UK and the Middle East, and I've seen women earning very good salaries feeling the exact same way. If we haven't met yet, hi, I'm Natasha. I'm a chartered accountant and I've spent most of my adult life working with money. But what fascinates me the most isn't spreadsheets, believe it or not. It's behaviour, it's emotion, and it's the psychology of how we, specifically as girls, live with money. And today I want to talk about something that I don't see enough in personal finances. Nervous system-friendly money systems. Now, don't get me wrong, there is so much amazing financial advice on the internet. But I have to say, emotion is never really factored into the advice that you're seeing online. Most budgeting advice assumes you're relaxed when it comes to money. Most investing advice assumes you're pretty rational. And let's face it, as girls, sometimes we're really not. Most 10-step wealth plans assume we have unlimited mental capacity in our heads. But if you have an intense job, if you're anything like me, you're carrying a lot, you might be slightly burnt out, you really don't need a complicated system. You just need a really simple one that fits into your life, both emotionally and practically. So why does budgeting make so many girls anxious? And there's research around something called decision fatigue. The more decisions you make during the day, the worse the quality of your decisions become over time. That's why usually at 9 p.m, ordering a takeaway feels completely justified. And it's because your brain is completely tired. Now think about how many financial decisions you're making every day and you're not even realizing it. Should I be switching my savings account? Is the subscription worth it? Should I cut back? Can I afford this holiday? Should I be feeling guilty about this purchase? It's never ending. Your nervous system doesn't love constant ambiguity. Psychologists also talk about financial threat perception. So when money feels uncertain or it feels unclear, your brain is interpreting it as a potential danger, even when it's actually safe. So when you're opening your bank app and there's no structure, your body reacts before logic does. So this is why some women completely avoid checking it altogether. So instead of building stricter systems that feel like a chore, what if we build something a bit more relaxed, but equally as efficient that makes us feel less on edge? I created a 5-step method all about designing money in a way that is going to reduce anxiety. So step 1, I don't budget, I separate. Instead of tracking every single category and transaction you make every day, you separate your money into different buckets, and each bucket has a different job. So at its most basic level, there are 3 accounts: a bills account, a spending account, and a future account. So firstly, what goes into your bills account? So your salary will go in, all fixed costs will come out of this. This is your rent, this is your utilities, insurance, subscriptions, phone, gym, things like this. Secondly, your spending account. So you'll pay yourself weekly from your main account into your spending account. And this is your lifestyle money. Food, social events, Ubers, coffee, nails, whatever. And lastly, your future account. This is things like savings, your emergency fund, and any money you want to invest. Now let's look at this in real life. Let's say you take home around £3,000 a month. So the structure is going to look like this. 50 to 60% of that £3,000 is going to be your fixed costs. So this is your bills, which is roughly around £1,500 to £1,800. 20 to 30% is going to be your lifestyle spending. So this is around £600 to £900. And 10 to 20% is to go into your future account. This is savings, investing, and this is around £300 to £600. So 50 to 60% is fixed costs, 20 to 30% is your lifestyle costs, and 10 to 20% is your future costs. And remember, these are just healthy guidelines. These are not strict rules. I would say though, if you're finding that your fixed costs are over 60% of your take-home pay, it's something to make note of, because you may need a longer term adjustment plan to try reduce this percentage. So this is what changes when you separate instead of micromanage. When you go to dinner, you end up checking your second account, your spending account, not your entire bank balance if all your money was in one account. And for girls, this is much more regulating for our nervous system. Our brains love clear boundaries and containers for our money. Step 2, reduce decisions before they reduce you. Money stress often isn't about lack of money. It's usually about too many micro decisions. So instead of asking yourself new questions every week, you create small habits for yourself, which for me, honestly, I enjoy romanticizing and putting all the dates and the habits in my diary. So for example, they might look like this. I might want to invest on the first day of every month. I might want to do a subscription sweep on the first Sunday of every month where I unsubscribe to anything that I don't use and I don't need. Another rule I have is I pause for 24 hours before I buy anything over £150. Another rule is no guilt spending within my weekly allowance. So when your decisions are pre-made, you end up not negotiating with yourself when you're about to pay for something because the decision has already been made. And all these little decisions are really exhausting. And honestly, we do not need to put ourselves through it every single time we want to buy something. So let's say you have a £225 weekly spending transfer, and on Friday you've used £180 of it. You're not going to start spiraling. You're just going to know you have £225 coming in on Monday, and you know exactly how much you have for the rest of the weekend. Step 3, automate safety before you choose growth. So many girls are desperate to skip ahead here. They want to invest and they want to put their money to work. But the problem with this is that their nervous system does not feel safe yet. And trust me, because I've made this mistake myself before, you cannot build for your future on a shaky ground. There's emergency fund research which consistently shows that even having £1,000 or even £2,000 set aside significantly reduces financial stress. The long term of an emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of your core expenses. So this is your food, rent, bills, your day-to-day money. This is not your aspirational lifestyle money. So it's not holidays, it's not handbags, it's not the nice to haves. This is your core expenses which you need to live. So if your essential monthly cost is £2,000, your target emergency fund is £6,000 to £12,000, which is 3 to 6 months. And you start building towards this, even £50 a month. The girls who automate even small amounts end up feeling much more in control, even before the balance on the screen becomes, let's say, impressive. Just that feeling of having a system makes you feel much safer and much more in control. And once you have this feeling, you can then start to grow. Step 4, track one number only. This is where so many women accidentally create their own anxiety. You don't need to know your exact investment allocation percentages, your daily spending breakdown, and your 5-year projection all at once. You really don't need all this because, let's face it, this is completely overwhelming, it's not empowering, and it's overstimulating. Your nervous system can't regulate around 10 moving targets. It's not possible. You just need one anchor. And when I say track one number, I don't mean ignore everything else forever. I mean right now, you're choosing one number that reflects the season that you're in. Like I said before, different seasons of your life require different anchors. So if you're in your foundation season, which is all about building security, your anchor might be your emergency fund months. This is not about the raw balance of your emergency fund. It's all about the number of months. I don't know about you, but there's something very calming about thinking in months instead of thinking in pounds or dollars, whichever currency you're working in. So if your essential expenses are £2,000 per month and you have £4,000 saved, that's 2 months. 2 months, it feels a lot more tangible. The long-term goal is 3 to 6 months, but if you're at 1 month and building towards 2, you know that you're progressing and that safety is increasing. Now, if you're in the season where you want to reduce debt, your anchor might be your debt pressure ratio. So this one is incredibly powerful because it removes the drama and replaces it with one simple percentage, which gives you much more clarity. The calculation is very simple. It's your monthly debt payments divided by your monthly take-home pay. So if your debt payments are £600 a month and your take-home pay is £3,000 a month, 600 divided by 3,000 is 20%. So that means 20% of your income is going towards debt. Now here's where some context helps. Under 20% is generally manageable. If it's between 20 and 35%, it can start to feel a little bit tighter, and over 40% creates a real strain on day-to-day life. Now, maybe debt isn't your thing. Maybe you earn well, but you feel like money disappears every single month. So your anchor could be your weekly spending average. Now, make a note, this isn't your daily spend because daily makes it very obsessive. Weekly is a little bit more manageable and a bit more humane. So let's say you transfer £225 per week into your spending account. You're tracking the weekly total, not every single latte that you're buying. If your average over the week was £250 instead of £225, it's not a failure, it's just showing, yeah, you might have spent by £25 over, but it's manageable. Or maybe you're in growth mode, you're in a growth season, so your anchor could be your net worth. On the first of each month, check your assets minus your liabilities. Done. Close the app. Here's what happens when you end up tracking too much. You end up attaching your identity to volatility. Let's say your investments dip by 2%, so suddenly your mood dips by 10%. And trust me, that's not wealth building. That's attaching your emotions to your bank balance. When you track just one thing, progress feels possible, which reduces your financial anxiety way, way more than perfection ever would. So if you take nothing else from this video, take this. Choose one number that reflects the season that you're in, build around it, and let everything else be background noise. Step 5. This is honestly my favorite step because this is where we ignore all the drama. You know the cycle, you ignore your money for a few weeks because life gets busy, and then you get that guilt feeling building in the background, and suddenly you're on the first of the month, you decide you're going to completely transform your financial life. It lasts about 5 days before everything slips back to normal again. We're not going to do that anymore. You don't need a financial personality transplant. You don't need to become hyper-disciplined or decide to reinvent yourself one day. What you need right now is habits. Habits that are steady and habits that are predictable. Habits that you only have to do once a month. So let's pick a day. For me, I like the first Sunday because it feels calm, it feels intentional, but honestly, whatever day works for you. This is going to be your check-in. So I want you to open your account and I want you to observe, not analyze, not criticize, not narrate a whole internal monologue of how bad you are with money. Just notice what you've spent this month. Where did your money actually go? Was it truly aligned with the life that you're trying to build for yourself? Did anything in there surprise you? And this is important. Surprises are information. I don't want you to shame yourself around them. Let's say you spent £300 on takeaways. It doesn't mean you're irresponsible. It means that that's where your money went. And information is neutral. And when something is neutral, you can work with it. And then you just adjust and you refine. What genuinely felt worth it to you? Maybe that £150 dinner with your friends was exactly what you needed in that moment. Connection, laughs, memories to look back on. It was aligned spending. What felt a bit unnecessary? Maybe subscriptions that you forgot about, maybe some purchases that you didn't actually need, some impulse buys. All these things are really useful to see. Now here's the key part. You choose just one adjustment. Cancel a subscription, increase your savings by £50, reduce your weekly spending by £25, automate something that you've been meaning to sort for months. There's a reason this works. Research consistently shows when people try to change everything at once, they burn out quickly. Too many changes create friction. However, one small manageable habit, is far more likely to stick, and we're building habits that we want to live with long term. When you review your bank statements intentionally, make one adjustment and then close the loop, your brain registers completion, and completion ends up feeling safe. And when money feels safe, you stop avoiding it. And over time, this will become completely normal for you. So after a few months of following these 5 steps, you will notice your relationship with money will start to change for the better, and you will become much less anxious. Opening your banking app won't feel like your heart is beating 10 times faster. You won't have that feeling of needing to rush through it or avoid it. You're just going to look at it, register what's going on, and then close it. Because you know you've built a habit that's a lot more true to the person that you are. And I think that's what women actually want. Not to obsess over money, not to master every optimization strategy, just to feel like it's handled. If you're ambitious, and I know a lot of women are that are watching this, you already think a lot in the day. You're making decisions constantly. You're responsible, you carry pressure, and the last thing you need is another area of your life that feels like something to perfect. This isn't about being perfect with money, as I said. It's just about feeling calm enough that it stops taking up necessary space in your mind. So if budgeting has ever made you feel slightly judged, or opening your banking app has made you feel a little bit tense, then I hope this has given you a different approach.